I have noticed over the years the occasional tree die and fall on my property. In the past couple of years, the number of trees dying and falling has increased. The pine trees fall and the branches from the oaks drop. Two of these pine trees were close to my house, so I was concerned when they died they would fall on my house. I prayed to Jesus that he spare my house. Well, he helped out. The first tree fell and then sometime later the other fell. In this video, I am showing how close the second tree fell towards my house. It didn't hit it, but it landed on the corner of a ramp to one of the doors. I am relieved. Now these trees are going to intersect with another subject, property taxes. Recently, in June of 2023, I received my property appraisal from the county. Their appraisal of my place jumped quite a bit in 1 year. They increased the value of my property by 69% of previous year's value. I'm guessing my taxes will go up 2/3 of last year's amount also. They cited on the appraisal that the timberland value had increased, not the structures. So my trees are worth more, even though they're dying? Why cite the reason as trees? I know there are a lot of forest fires happening, and that can increase the cost of lumber. However, those price increases would go to lumber yards and businesses. I'm not trying to sell my trees. It would be irrelevant. This increase sounds shady to me. I'm seeing reports from other areas around the country where property values are being raised from 25% to almost double the value. Some people have had the usual increase. Here's another thing to remember. A year or two ago, Janet Yellen proposed the idea of unrealized income. So say your property was worth $100,000. Then all of a sudden it gets appraised at $150,000. That's an increase of $50,000. With the unrealized income plan, that extra $50,000 can now be taxed as income. Now say that income tax rate is 20%. That's $10,000 you owe the IRS on top of the extra spent on the property tax. Has the unrealized income idea passed in any of the bills being voted on in Congress? I don't know. Here's another thing that crosses my mind. Since I'm in Texas, I am aware that there's a debate going on about property taxes between the governor and lieutenant governor. Apparently, Governor Abbott wants to eliminate property taxes and increase the sales tax. Many would like this idea of getting rid of property taxes. I would be one of them. I think they are communist in nature, just like HOAs. However, all politicians have agendas. They don't do things out of the kindness of their heart. Keep in mind that while this debate on property taxes is going on, people across the country can't afford a place to live, whether they can't afford their mortgages or can't pay the rent. There are more and more people becoming homeless. With less people paying property taxes, then where will the loss of tax revenue come from? Sales tax seems like an alternative, and Greg Abbott knows this. I am already familiar with Mr. Abbott. I used to run a small business in the 90s. I collected sales tax for the state. Who was the tax assessor at the time? Greg Abbott. He was the tax man. He is already setting the stage because he knows there will be less people who own property. So Texas will collect from another area. And as I've mentioned in a previous video, he has been to the Davos meetings. So he knows the global agenda. I'm sure you have heard the phrase by now, you'll own nothing and be happy. Another thing that comes to mind is that this will create one more social division. People who own property can just put the extra money saved from the property tax and put that towards sales tax. But what would a lower income person do with no property? Non-property owners or poor people would just pay more in tax, while property owners' tax burden would just shift. This would cause the poorer people to become angry towards property owners. This at a time when the controllers are dividing people among race, gender, and other issues. This will be just one more coal on the fire. Just something to think about. Thanks for watching.